how have you been coping with training during lockdown, and what's it like to prepare for a season that nobody is sure when it will start?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I think we've got to start with not understanding when the season will start. So there's so many if, buts and maybes. But going into my, 12th, 13th pre-season, whatever it is with Matlock Town, it's I understand what levels I personally need to be at when the season starts, and I'm sure majority of the lads are exactly the same. But yeah, I think I'm just keeping ticking over. I know Dave's very keen on getting us back to pre-season in some type of fitness. I know he's forwarding plans and things like that. And if we can do them, then that's fine. But I know a lot of lads, some of them are struggling to do that. But I think lads are just doing the best they can in this situation.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on the season that just passed? I mean, I know it's strange because technically everyone did the same, because technically none of these league matches ever took place. But by all accounts, it was a very tough season for the club, wasn't it?
It was, and for all the club, I think parting with managers isn't great, and people don't want to see that. And for Matlock over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been quite a regular occurrence due to results and all the things behind the scenes that impact on results on the pitch. So I think it'd be great for the club and all the players and everyone involved, all the volunteers, that if we can have some consistency. And I'm hoping that's going to be the management team that's in place now, Philo, Dave, and all his team. So I think consistency is the big one for myself and the team and the club as a whole. I think really to have a consistent, successful season, and that's definitely striving at least for playoffs this year.
Yeah, because I've spoken to obviously I've spoken to Philo quite a few times, and most recently I've spoken to Dave Wild, who I know is 24/7, is just always on the go. I think he's just constantly football.
Yeah, he doesn't switch off at all. Yeah.
But it's with the management staff that are now currently in place. It's very, very driven. I mean, would you say? I'm not sure how to put this, because I think in the past it was Steve Kittrick had obviously had a lot of successes within non-league football. But would you say that this is a different approach than how it was before? With Steve Kittrick, it seemed to be quite laid back, maybe a little bit too laid back, whereas it's quite intense with Philo and with Dave Wild sort of at the helm.
Yeah, no, I agree. And who's to say what approach works? I know there's different approaches work in different formats, but and I've not worked with Philo and Dave for a huge amount of time, as you know. So I'm still all the lads are still getting used to how they work and how we're gonna function going forward. But and I think pre-season will be a big learning curve for everyone, getting to know people and building a squad, really, because there will be new faces. We all understand that, and I think there'll be some old faces that people are used to as well in the fold. But I think it's that big gelling period in pre-season for us, and only time will tell. But no, I agree. I think the approach is going to change from what I've seen already, and I think that's definitely for the better. And for me, I know Dave and Philo want to be very professional in how they do things, and they want the lads to be as fit and ready for games as they possibly can. So I think that can only bode well for us going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you're not a manager yourself, but obviously you've been involved in the non-league game for quite a while now. And obviously a phrase that gets bandied around a lot at the moment that people are getting sick of, but these are unprecedented circumstances, and it'll get said lots and lots of more times. But How tough do you think it will be going forwards, like for the vast majority of non-league clubs, particularly at Matlock's level and below, if next season is significantly delayed and there's still, even if it does return, there still has to be some sort of restrictions on like a full crowd being in place? Just how tough is that going to be for clubs, not just for Matlock, but at teams around Matlock's level?
Well, it's huge. We all know that the teams around the level that we're at the moment rely on gate receipts to pay wages at the football club. It's simple as that. So if they're not getting the gates that they used to, or that they're expecting, then it's going to have a huge impact on the team and the club as a whole, and whether they're actually going to be able to field the team. It's as big as that. I know some of the clubs in our league have individuals backing the club, but that's not the case at Matlock. From my understanding at the moment, I know things are changing in the background at the club, but I've got no more information than probably you have on that. We'll just have to wait and see, and it's a time game. It's a time thing, really. And I wouldn't even like to speculate when we're going to start, how we're going to start. It's because there's that many things that could change, and it's not even, I can't even comprehend that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you make as well? I mean, obviously it's been horrible what the circumstances that have happened, but it does desperate situations like this. It does also bring the best out in people as well. What have you made about the fundraising that has been done? Not just by Matlock supporters, and not even Matlock supporters, just people that have seen the campaign, but also the staff, the money that they're raising for the NHS. Just what have you made about all that, first of all, for like the club itself?
Just a great effort all around, really. But it just shows how much non-league football means to people. This is people's lives we're talking about here. So I think if Matlock Town weren't able to raise the funds, it'd have been a travesty, really. But I don't think that was ever in doubt, because we've got great supporters at the club, and they're always willing to back the club 100%, whether the results are coming or not. We've seen that. So the supporters are key for us this year, and if crowds are having to be segregated or reduced somehow, I think it will have a big impact on the club. Fun, and going back to the fundraising, it's fantastic. The riding that the management team are doing currently, and I think they're raising great amounts for the club. So it's hats off to them, really. Yeah,
and going forward, there's some very interesting goings on behind the scenes at the club, with the involvement of Rob Malloy, who that we know so far is taking a vice presidential role, but he's already stated that, in his own words, he likes to win, which he said on numerous occasions in my interview with him, and he seems very, very focused on doing what he can to get success gradually with Matlock, with the aim of even taking them into the Football League. What have you made about these developments, and how optimistic are you for the future of Matlock Town?
I've not really got my head around it myself yet, to be honest. It seems a little bit kind of too good to be true, and I'd really love to meet the guy going forward over the net when we go into pre-season and stuff. I'm sure all the management and the team would like to do that, and get an understanding of what he wants to achieve and how we're going to do it. It's really exciting for the club, and I think we've just got to watch this space on what will happen. I've not managed to speak with Tom Wright yet on the issue, but me and Tom speak quite regularly anyway, so I'm sure we'll catch up on things. But it could be really exciting, and start of something really good in Matlock.
Yeah, and you're nearing 500 games now for Matlock. I think on the technicality, it's become a little bit further away again because the league games that you've played technically don't count, which is a bit of a shame, to say the least. But if you can just sort of maybe talk about just how proud are you of your long-standing involvement with the club, and also just what are some of your favourite games and moments with Matlock Town?
Yeah, just your first point. I think it's common knowledge that I supported Matlock Town as a young kid. So it was amazing for me to first sign for the club when I was 19, 20 years old. I remember my first game like it was yesterday at home against FC United, and there was a couple of thousand fans there, and I was a little bit kind of starry-eyed a little bit. But since then, it's been a pleasure to play for the club, especially under Mark Atkins, who was here for a long, long time. I think it was 5 or 6 seasons. Learned so much from him, and some of the teams that he put together were top draw, and I think we probably slightly underachieved as well when the likes of Ross Hanna was involved and Liam King. We had such a great side, and we had a few really good seasons where, like you say, we could have snuck in the playoffs quite easily, but it just faded away. But yeah, it's coming up to 500 games. I know 30 games have been knocked off this year, and it'd be. I'm not going to lie, it'd be fantastic for myself to reach 500 games. I think for myself and my family, especially my dad and my wife, it'd be. We've lived and breathed Matlock Town for the last over 10 years, and it's become a huge part of my life. And yeah, it'd be a real privilege to do that. And yeah, I'm Matlock through and through. So yeah, that's where we are with that. But in terms of favourite games and iconic moments at the club, there has been loads. There's been loads, but there's standout ones. When we beat Mansfield Town in the FA Trophy over 2 legs. That was special to be involved in. We brought them back to Causeway Lane, and I forget the score now, but I can remember Messiah McDonald scoring the winner, and that was a fantastic evening.
Yeah, as a Chesterfield fan, trust me, you had my backing with that. So
yeah, no, it was a great evening, but playing at grounds like Halifax and Chester, FC United year in year out, they're special games. We've had quite a few decent cup runs in the past. It not quite got to the first round yet, but we've been close, and we've probably gone a little bit further in the FA Trophy over recent years and earned some money for the club. But that's probably the number one standout game for me when we beat Mansfield Town.
Awesome, and just finally, really, just in terms of the season ahead, I mean, it is difficult. Obviously, I think it's pretty unlikely, certainly for non-league anyway, that pre-season will come back for July. But we just don't know when it will come round. But once it does start again, in terms of like the aim for the season, obviously with the involvement that's coming into the club from overseas, would you say, playoffs is the target? That's what you'll be looking to get?
I think it's a target every year. We go into football games wanting to win football games. So the playoff is the target every year. And I think when it gets to Christmas time, it becomes I don't know, that's the key part of the season for me. And having a good run over Christmas, and after the Christmas period, after the new year, you can look at where you are and actually think whether or not we're actually going to have a real push for the playoffs, or it's going to be we're going to roll the sleeves up and avoid relegation. So the Christmas period is huge. But yeah, for me, it's been really disappointing over the last few years about league form, and it should be bread and butter for us, and it's not through the want of trying. I think the cup competitions have perhaps at times took precedent over the league games. I'm sure you probably feel the same, but I don't know, the impetus of the cup games, and it does tend to detract away from the league form, which is frustrating for me, and it's something that you don't want to do as a club. But yeah, I'd love us to have a fantastic league campaign this year and see where we can go and get in those playoffs.